So why don't you just show the receipt of you giving this money to the people you made these donations for?
Why don't you show me your receipt for your llama?
You're a crook. See what I mean? That's what I'm saying. This guy has no.
First of all, there's no llamas. Listen, 1 second. There's no llamas in Africa. Llamas are found in Asia. You dumbass nigger. Secondly, stop with the stupid jokes. You said you want to have a healthy, grown-up discussion. Let's have one, Tariq. This is the platform. This is the place. Instead of resorting to your fourth grade, jokes, let's have a grown-up conversation. All right, nigger? The floor is yours.
Sir.
Boys are aware, llama is only found in South America, not in Asia.
Sir, all the nigger talk, it doesn't matter as long as my clothes don't smell like cheetah pee.
Where the fuck do cheetahs pee? What the fuck is wrong with this nigger?
Your clothes smell like backwood. You have many of them, my boy.
Where do cheetahs pee?
I swear he thinks
Cheetahs are almost
his leaders.
Yo, 1 second, sister. Does this guy think that Africa's full of wildlife? Like, there's no cheetahs are actually about to become extinct. There's like at least, I don't know, 1,000 in the wild. This nigga thinks Africa's the jungle, like the white man.
Now, you notice he said, like the white man. In early U.S., this is the definition for the word nigger. It says a dark-skinned person of any origin. In early U.S., use usually with reference to American Indians, usually offensive. So he basically using the word the white man used to offend American Indians. Right here it says T.C. Halliburton in his attaché. He used the words heathen, Injun, niggers. Welcome to the Aboriginal channel. On this episode, we're going to learn why knowing about the colonizers' forts and the Aboriginals' fortified towns and cities is important. Before we go into that, I'm going to go over a few more names right now. So the last name Towers, it indicates that the original bearer lived in the tower of a castle. Go down here and it says the tower name meaning topographic name for someone who lived near a tower, usually a defensive fortification or watchtower. Name Pendleton, it means an overhanging settlement. The last name Sutton, it means a southern settlement. The last name Dutton, it means an enclosure or the settlement. Norrington means someone who lives north of town or north of the main settlement. The last name Marbury, it means a stronghold by a lake or a fortified place by a lake. The last name Wilhite means a small settlement. So I got to prove my point by going into old books. Right here we got the book An Inquiry into the Distinctive Characteristics of the Aboriginal Race of America by Samuel G. Morton in 1844. So inside the book, first of all, I want to point out something right here. It says the following essay was read at the annual meeting at the Boston Society of Natural History on the 27th of April of 1842 and published by direction of the Society. In the present edition, I have made a few verbal corrections and added some collateral facts in the appendix. So he rearranged it, he revised it, and put it out in 1844. He revised the 1842 edition, the first edition, and republished it, revised it, and republished it 2 years later in 1844. So there's some things in the book that's propagandized, but we're not going to focus on that. We're just going to focus on the truths we can find in it. So basically, he's saying it is chiefly my intention to produce a few of the more strikingly characteristic traits of these people to sustain the position that all American nations, excepting the Eskimo, are of one race and that this race is peculiar and distinct from all others. Now, Samuel G. Morton was known as the bone collector. He collected hundreds of skulls all around the Americas. Right here, he's talking about the physical characteristics. He said, it is an adage among travelers that he who has seen one tribe of Indian has seen all. So much do the individuals of this race resemble each other, notwithstanding their immense geographical distribution. He said the half-clad Fuegian, shrinking from his dreary winter, has the same characteristic lineaments, though in an exaggerated degree, as the Indians of the tropical plains, and these again resemble the tribes which inhabit the region west of the Rocky Mountains, those of the great valley of the Mississippi, and those again which skirt the Eskimo on the north. So basically, he said all the nations were of the same race. So in this other book right here called the American nations or outlines of a national history or the ancient and modern nations of North and South America by Professor C.S. Refinesque, Volume 1, 1836. Inside this book, he talks about manuscripts. There's a section in here on manuscripts. He talks about a guy who put out some manuscripts and his manuscripts were lost. He says right here, I have often been apprehensive of the fate of Bartarini for these interesting manuscripts and long researches. This has happened already for one of my manuscripts. As early as 1825, I sent to the Academy of Science in Boston a manuscript of 240 pages, being an account of the materials yet existing for the history of the nations and tribes of America before Columbus. This was for an offered prize of $100, which was never awarded, although my memoir was declared the best sent. And instead of depositing this manuscript in the library of the American Antiquarian Society as requested, it has been lost or stolen. So basically he's saying that he turned in a manuscript of materials yet existing for the history of the nation and tribes of America before Columbus, but it got lost or stolen. For some reason, this book's PDF I got online right here stops at page 192. 192, and then it goes into the footnotes. The book is actually 260 pages long. So good thing I had a physical copy of the book. So I took pictures of the pages that I wanted to show right now, so you can still see it, because they took it down off the internet or give us an incomplete copy. Just so we know it's coming out of the same book. Here's that same passage from earlier where he said his manuscript he turned in 1825 to the Academy of Science in Boston, and it was 240 pages of the materials yet existing for the history of the nations and tribes of America before Columbus. They said his was the best sent in. They never gave him the $100, and his manuscript was lost or stolen. But right back here in the book, on page 193, the very next page that they skipped in the book online, it says right here, a black people came to Haiti from the south or southeast who had darts of Guianian, which means gold, metal, and were called the Black Guyanese. This tradition, preserved by Herrera, Garcia, and Charlevoix, indicates a colony of Negroes or men painting black from South America. They might be the black Negroes of Querque mentioned by Daniel Herrera or some other American Negro nation, of which there are many. See my account of ancient black nations of America. So this man said there's black nations in America, right? And then Samuel G. Morton said that they were all the same race except for the Eskimos up north. Now, with that being said, and we know that the Aboriginals were so-called black people, the colonizers were not going to have a bunch of so-called black people from Africa behind the fort walls with them while they were being attacked by so-called black Aboriginals from America. They wouldn't bring shiploads of Africans to a continent that was full of the same kind of people. You wouldn't have those people behind the fort walls because they could run away, or they could open the gate walls and let the Aboriginals in to massacre you. So you wouldn't have them behind the fort walls with you. Now let's go back to the book one more time, an inquiry into the distinctive characteristics of the Aboriginal race of America. It says right here, it cannot be questioned that physical diversities do occur, equally singular and inexplicable, as seen in different shades of color, varying from a fair tint to a complexion almost black. And this too under circumstances in which climate can have little or no influence. So also in reference to stature, the differences are remarkable in entire tribes, which moreover are geographically proximate to each other. These facts, however, are mere exceptions to a general rule and do not alter the peculiar physiognomy of the Indian, which is as undeviatingly characteristic as that of the Negro. Now, let's go over to the Allegory of the Continents and see what that looks like. So right here at the Aldersbach Church in Germany, they have this paintings from the 16th and 17th century on the walls. You go over here, they got little statues of people representing different continents. Here's a statue of someone representing America. See America right up here, and then here's someone representing Africa. The way these figurines look, you can see that the physiognomy of both of these is undeviatingly Negro, right? Let's look at the Asian and the European. Here's the Asian and here's the European. Here's another church called Maria Queen of the Angels. It's in Germany. It has the wall art. And right here you have from left to right Europe, America, Asia, and Africa. Europe is right over here in the corner. America is this person right here. Asia and Africa. There's another church in Germany called Maria Balanin. Same thing. Africa right here, America over here. This church is called the Holy Blood. It's in Germany. From left to right, Asia right up here, Africa right here, Europe right here, and America right here with the parrot in his hand. There's another church called Bobingen. Right here, over here is Africa. Right here is America. America right here. And then that's Europe, Asia, and Africa. Europe, Africa, America, Asia. So it's Asia down here, Europe right here. This is America right here. Then Africa. So that basically gives you an idea about what he means when he says that just because some have light skin or have a complexion almost black, some are tall and some are short, that those are just mere exceptions to a general rule and do not alter the peculiar physiognomy of the Indian, which is undeviatingly characteristic as that of the Negro. For whether we see him in the athletic Carib or the stunted Kama, in the dark Californian or the fair Barora, he is an Indian still and cannot be mistaken for being of any other race. Now, there is another interesting spot in this book. He goes on to say, in fine, our own conclusion, long ago deducted from a patient examination of the facts, is that the American race is essentially separate and peculiar, whether we regard it in its physical, its moral, or its intellectual relations. To us, there are no direct or obvious links between the people of the old world and the new. For even omitting the seeming analogies to which we have alluded, these are so few in number and evidently so casual as to not invalidate the main position. And even should it be hereafter shown that the arts, sciences, and religion of America can be traced to an exotic source, I maintain that the organic characters of the peoples themselves, through all their endless ramifications of tribes and nations, prove them to belong to one and the same race, and that this race is distinct from all others. Through the history books, which has all been a lie. So therefore, if it's a lie, then what's the truth? If it's a lie, then what's the truth? Through the history books, which has all been a lie. So therefore, if it's a lie, then what's the truth? If it's a lie, then what's the truth?